So you're familiar with many accounting aspects, right? From the day one of your commerce students' life, as well as teaching commerce and business accounting. We're all familiar with the traditional accounting practices. So we're well versed with accounting, maybe financial accounting, cost accounting, or even to the extent of management accounting. All these things we are all familiar, and we have been enjoying teaching as well. But time and again, always there is a dire need for us to understand the importance and the impact of all these accounting aspects on various issues. So just because what you studied journal entries or journal ledger accounting in first PUC when you were a school student, or when you started teaching accounting, etc., at your graduate level or postgraduate level, whatever the level you are teaching in. So we are mastering that, and we are very good. Sincerely, we are teaching. Honestly, we are teaching, and with great interest, we are teaching. But 5 minutes. But but we should also update ourselves in a manner in which it is expected to the present scenario or to the circumstances. So fine, we are teaching corporate accounting, financial accounting, various issues, maybe to the extent of mergers, acquisitions, purchase consideration. Traditionally fine. But in the context of the current contemporary scenario, things may not be of that sort. So we are coming across many environmental issues these days. We are talking about marketing principles, concepts of marketing, even to the extent of green marketing, etc. When that is the scenario, why can't something related to accounting? Fine, you may not be, I may be talking something which is out of the purview of the subject for for a few minutes, but it is worthy of understanding. I know I don't mind saying an example or giving an example. All of your masters and familiars, those who are teaching accounting, that you are well versed in issue of shares. I'm just giving an example at corporate accounting, issue of shares. The tragedy is that, forget about Indian scenario, nowhere in the world, nowhere in the world, there is a concept called application for 2 rupees 50 paisa, allotment for another 2.5 rupees, and the first call for 3 rupees, and the remaining in the second and final call. All these things, you are all well versed. Ritualistically, you are doing it, and same thing being practiced by your own students, and they are happy to secure so many marks, and 16 out of 16 or 20 out of 20 or whatever it is, because they're passing the journal entries which you are familiar and they have mastered it as well. But things in reality may not be so. When that is not at all being practiced, still it is there in the syllabus in most of the colleges, most of the universities, and we have not made an attempt even to revamp it, yet we are teaching that. But that is not the need of the hour. The need of the hour is something else. So that has made me to think of something like environmental accounting. So therefore, I just make an attempt in this hour. In 1 hour, I'm just trying to introduce how the accounting system should be modified, should be adopted, should be percolated to a level wherein we are talking about the contemporary issues, the day-to-day affairs, etc. So this is blended with the marketing philosophy as well as our accounting terminology. So therefore, I just opted this topic to orient, or rather to familiarize ourselves how we are, deviating from the mainstream of accounting, how we are not focusing on these aspects. Hitherto, we are not doing it. At least in the days to come, Our students must be well versed, must be oriented to something like environmental accounting. That is the dire need of the hour. So therefore, how this has to be accounted is $1 million question. What has to be accounted is something else then. So these are all the bigger challenges. So you must have been seeing right from your college days, your student days, how things were doing in a shop, in a grocery shop. So they were not using plastic at all. So I used to go and they used to bundle with a paper, old newspaper bag, and or even to the extent of threads, they used to use it, or whatever it is. But now things have changed drastically, and most of the semi-urban, even urban areas, except cosmopolitan cities, they are not familiar with this kind of mall culture. So this is a boom or rather an advantage of the LPG. But the impact of that not only magnified and they not only generated lot of employment opportunities, but on the other hand, it is causing severe impacting to the extent of saying they are devastating our environment. So therefore, there is something where trash, a lot of trash is generated, a lot of garbage is generated, and many times we are living within the garbage, within this one, which in a sophisticated manner, which we are not familiar, rather we are not well versed, and what is the contribution we are giving for our next generation. So especially for our own children, our own younger generation. So we are exhausting all these traditional aspect, natural resources, and we are dumping with all these issues which are aired by us in a manner which is impossible to rectify in the nearest future if we are not cautious enough, if we are not familiar and understand and create a sort of self-awareness, self-consciousness. So therefore it is very vital at this point of time to understand the need for this kind of philosophy in not just in marketing, in accounting as well. For instance, many times we come across affluents. Affluents are dumped into the natural resources. So most of the textile manufacturing industries in and around your vicinity is located in a bed where the river is freely flowing, which is one of the resources we saw talk about establishment of industry and industrial location. Essential features is a nearness to the source of water we speak about. So nearness to the source of water for the purpose of production, fine, excellent, because water is also one of the greater inputs for many of the manufacturing activities. But we are not just using the water, we are also polluting the water in the manner in which we are using it. So if we are using 100 liters of water, we are polluting 500 liters of water. So not just contaminating, we are by just using our resources, natural resources, as I said, the rivers, the water, and we are also equally in a quantable amount, quantifiable, double, triple aspect, we are polluting it. We are converting those resources into poisonous aspects. So not just we are drawing the benefits or the utility of that, we are creating something which is dangerous to the younger generation. So therefore, if you are manufacturing one jeans pant by one of the textile units of the company, anywhere they are using or manufacturing, you will not believe it. As per the statistics, as per the recommendations and the resolutions passed by various ministries of environment, one pant, what we're using, jeans pant, consumes 5,000 liters of water to manufacture. So imagine what amount of chemicals being drowned into the water. So that is a dire aspect. Most of the resources being polluted, maybe Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, or even Arabian Ocean for that extent. So the plastic what we are dumping, it is 7 to 8 times bigger than the vastness of the earth. We try to understand. So this much we are dumping and we are trying to, derive some benefits. It's impossible. At what cost we are producing, we are manufacturing, we are deriving pleasure, we are deriving satisfaction. All these things are, it should prick us in a manner what kind of environment we are created, what kind of business atmosphere we are generating, and what we are going to derive of it. Earlier days, when perhaps when you and I were in schools and colleges, perhaps we are not familiar with these many drugs being manufactured by these medical enterprises. I'm saying medical enterprises, maybe sophisticated super specialty hospitals. Things have changed now. So the drugs they're inventing for the various new generation diseases, it may be any disease for that matter. When you find out the statistics, if you are interested in pursuing a research of that kind, you will derive a lot of new information. So they're all because of our attitude towards the prevailing environment, our disrespect towards maintaining and sanctifying our own resources. So everything is available, especially in Indian scenario. Anything is available free. We don't value it. That is the problem. The same river basin is situated elsewhere in one of the developing countries or developed countries or even industrially advanced countries. Perhaps things would have been different. So since we are getting free of cost, we don't know to value it. So that has been degraded by our own, entrepreneurs, businessmen, and we are using it as a consumer. We are also being exploited by these, gullible lot of entrepreneurs. So that is why I just made an attempt, to expose ourselves into the concept of environmental accounting. What are the challenges that we are going to face? What are the issues we are having? In recording or introducing a system of environmental accounting. So with this background, I would like to initiate the process. Hope it's clear to you. All of you are able to understand what I'm talking to you. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now at present, as most of you are teaching, rather you must have studied cost accounting. Mute ಮಾಡಿದ್ಯಾ? ನನ್ನ mute. This thing, cost accounting we teach, we learn, and we practice many things. So one of the latest thing what we talk about, triple R concept. So reduce, reuse, and recycle. So we have to reduce the consumption of these natural resources. So we have to reuse those natural resources and recycle those things. So maybe renewable resources. So when you just think of a mall for a while, even at this juncture, when you are listening to this lecture, you just think of millions and millions tons of plastic being manufactured. Whatever the thing you buy in a retail market or a retail shop or even a mall, it starts with plastic alone. I'm just giving an example of a plastic. There are hundreds of such things. Honestly speaking, if we evaluate your own self, because all of us are, in a very responsible position as of now, as a teacher, assistant professor, or associate professor, whatever it is. If you can think of a if you can think of for a while, most of the things, 80 to 85% of the things which are being sold in the market are those small are not at all required for our existence. This is a fact. You may not agree at this point of time, but if you just close your eyes after some time and understand, certainly 85%, 80 to 85% may not be required at all for our existence. Means you just imagine what is the philosophy these manufacturers are adopting, how things have been changed in the present scenario. So we have lost the significance of evaluating our own self, whether they are vital, whether they are essential or desirable. So just because they are manufacturing it, we are buying it, and they are not creating an opportunity to buy for which is very essential for us. They are creating an opportunity to sell. So it is definitely not at all required. Just because the product is available, we are trying, rather making an attempt to buy. Otherwise, things would not have been like that. So just because it's available, we are buying means it is not at all required. So the concept of producers concept we are following, manufacturers concept we are following, and they are not trying to study the societal concept and manufacture the goods which are required for consumers who are supposed to be the founding pillars of the marketing. Those days have gone where most of the consumers have been exploited. So they have forgotten the philosophy, Gandhian philosophy of saying that they are not just mere customers, they are the one who are facilitating us to provide an opportunity to serve them. They have gone that. They are not outsider, they are the part of the business. They are depending on us, not we are depending on them. These were the golden words of Mahatma Gandhi, who has given long back about consumerism. So they are the part of the business. They are giving us an opportunity, sir. Rather, we are depending on them, not that they are depending on us. These were the golden principles. But none of these manufacturers are well versed with these aspects. So therefore, we have to create an atmosphere, an ambience, or an environment to, orient about these manufacturers, the need of the hour. Even our students must be well versed with this kind of accounting. That is why the concept of environmental accounting is very, very important. So food and beverages, they are generating, very well. These days, you don't cook, you need not cook, book an order, somebody will come and deliver. Of course, B2C, B2B, all these principles of logistics and marketing management, fine. But the moment we book something and eat, we'll be generating 32% of the plastic which are not possible at all to degrade in the nearest future. So they, on an average, they take around 300 to 400 years to submerge. So in our lifetime, next generation as well, it's impossible. So by buying something, food and beverages, placing an order or getting it, so we'll be generating 32% of plastic. So is it not something very dangerous? Similarly, the bottles what we're using for drinking water in most of the places all over the world I'm talking about, maybe the same percentage is applicable to Indian scenario. So 16% of bottles we are generating. So we are drinking 500 ml of water, but we are generating 16% of the garbage. You just imagine.
Sir, sorry to interrupt, sir.
Yeah.
Slides are not visible. I don't
No,
know
no,
whether you are
still I
displaying
have not,
or not.
still I have
Okay,
not
okay.
opened the
Yes, sir.
slide.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just
Carry on, sir. Carry on.
you. Don't worry.
Fine. Yes.
I'll come to that. Okay, so bottles are to the extent of 16%. And the plastic bags, conveniently, we are using it for our domestic purchases wherever we go to the market and we carry our, we don't carry our handbags. They'll give it in a decent plastic bag, which is very attractive at the time of purchase. So that is generating around 12%. So therefore, other part of beverages, all those put together 7.8%. You just imagine what kind of accounting is required for us. So one bottle, 20 rupees, fine, we can water, we can exhaust our thirst, but we're creating something for the Mother Earth which is impossible to digest. We may be quenching our thirst, but it's impossible for the earth to digest what we are drinking. So, in these lines, in a philosophical approach, in a philanthropic approach, we have to understand the problems which are generated from these issues. So, most of the examples I given related to plastic alone, other issues also, carbon effluents, etc. So with this brief introduction, so let us focus on the issues and challenges of environmental accounting. Open the slides. Yeah. So by the end of this session, not necessarily in this session, at the end of this program, I was told that there are 60 plus students participating in it. And once you finish this refresher course program, if all of you can study something related to this, 62 different aspects will be generated. That is the vastness of the issues which you are dealing with this environmental accounting. It's very, very difficult to quantify the damages what we're causing. So let us focus on how it has to be accounted, what has to be accounted, what has to be studied, what has to be focused, and how it has to be taught to the children in our own classes. So this is the introduction. So environmental accounting, we just see the slides. They are referring to the identification, measurement, and communication of the data. Every day we are speaking about so many things. We have to identify what we are causing, the damages we are hampering, the environment and the society. In turn, the world, the globe, whatever we are polluting. So we have to identify, as I said, 60 students, 60 participants. You come across your own city, town, 60 different aspects. Each of you are capable of identifying 60 different issues, how things have been, misused, misappropriated. But we're not aware of the things, how we are damaging. So we have to, the very aspect is to identifying the measuring. As I said, 1 liter water we are drinking 20 rupees or 10 rupees. But we, for the time being, we are satisfying our thirsty, quenching our thirst. But it is again difficult. If you are sitting in a marriage hall, 3,000 people are attending, 2,000 people are attending. You just imagine if 2,500 bottles to be crushed. So how it is possible to measure? Many times, whether it is required or not, we are generating the waste. So measurement is another aspect. Communicating the various aspects that the data, environmental responsible performance of a business or firm, facilitate the economic decision making. So here you have to survive with this. No doubt you can't. One of the principles of marketing, one of the adages of the marketing is do as your competitor does. So Aquafina is selling it in a decent package or a bottle or a plastic container. Obviously, then the Kinley should sell it. Obviously, Distillery should sell it. Unless and until they are finding out or exploring something which is economically viable for them. Isn't it? Otherwise, they, as I said, do as your competitor does. So people are attracted towards the container, the packager. These days, unfortunately, the generation is such that we are more worried about the container rather than the content in it. So you just imagine if some other conducive containers are being used to sell water, people hesitate to buy. So many innovations, techniques, technologies being upgraded in Western countries to reduce all these aspects. So there are experiments going on to use the straw and the waste of the sugar cane pulps to manufacture all these. I don't know how it will reach, when it will reach, what would be the receptiveness of the consumers across the globe. So there are things are going on. So therefore, as I said, this is outside the purview of our own understanding. Either to you're following many accounting rituals, as I said. So how to post the journal entry, classify them, ledger, trial balance, balance sheet. You are so happy and delighted since our college days because it is tallied. But what we are tallying is very important. At what cost we are tallying those imaginary figures. So similarly, in the classroom, we are discharging. Our students are also happy. They are gracefully receiving it because they are getting good marks. So if you just give him a case of something like 1 lakh liters of water being sold by Bisleri, and what is the cost or what is the impact that they are causing on the environment. So is it possible for the children to study those things? So that is also very, very important aspect. So that is why the fundamental thing we have to identify, we have to measure, we have to communicate. Then it is possible to study this magnanimity with a great magnanimity of all these aspects. So environmental accounting is a field that identifies the resource use, measurement, communication, cost of companies, national impact, national economic impact on the environment. If please follow these three words, that is enough to understand. The companies are national economic impact on the environment, how much we are damaging the environment, how much we are deceiving the environment, how much we are deceiving our own self by these means. So that is very, very important. Of course, this issue is thrown open to many of the accounting experts, accountants around the world, and they are not shown. You follow strictly all the rudiments which are insisted and initiated as per the Companies Act, whatever may be the years of enactment and the amendments, but nowhere we ever made an attempt to show, rather declare or confirm that this is the damage the firm has caused to the environment. This is the volume of plastic we have generated. This is the quantum of effluent we release to the society or to the natural resources. Maybe carbon effluents or something we are not disclosing anywhere. This is the dire need of the hour. If not for the academic arena at the present scenario, at least for our survival, at least for the betterment of our own generation, next generation, future generation, this is very, very essential. Okay, I hope you are following what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It not be a monotonous talk. We'll interact later. After some time, I'll come back to you. We'll have one-to-one discussion. It's not something like a theory which I'm talking to you. This has to be studied with the participation of all the participants in and around the scenario. So next one, world is facing these twin problems, that is promoting economic development and protecting the environment. So one is on the right hand, but to promote the economic activities. At the same time, we have to protect the environment. What we're talking about in accounting assets and liabilities, yeah, we are creating assets. We're generating all these things. We are promoting economic activities. We are developing, fine. But what is the liability? So we are miserably failing to protect the environment. That is the tragedy Fine, we are progressing, doing extremely good. We're creating employment. Even manufacturing plastic bags, they are creating millions of employment. Remember, and other hand, we are campaigning for not using the plastic. This is the paradigm. This is what we have to technically understand. In one hand, we are creating employment by establishing manufacturing units, which are manufacturing plastic containers, or whatever it is. On the other hand, what is the damage that you are causing by generating all these things? So these are the two wings. One is generating employment, creating economic development, contributing for the development of the nation, and the other one is the protecting the damages which are causing to the environment. So when we focus in these two lines, always they are parallel line. They will never intersect. They're creating, they're causing damage. So one is productive to some extent, other one is defective in many lines. So world is facing these two problems. They are very, very severe in nature. So the accounting interaction between the firm and the environment is prerequisite to find out the sustainability gap in micro level, macro level, or whatever it is. So it is very difficult to gauge at various level. It may be the micro level or macro level. Somebody is manufacturing plastic, somebody is using it. End users are the consumers, and we are mercilessly, without any respect, we are throwing it at our own area. So these are all the vital aspects. We should be very careful. So environmental accounting is referred to as green accounting, as most of you are familiar with the word green marketing. So these days there is a dire need to think about green accounting as well. So recently we are coming across all these environmental issues. World Environmental Day we celebrate. Degradation issues we're talking about. Throughout the world, we're celebrating, we're marking the day. But at what cost? So we are polluting as manufacturer. As a manufacturer, I'm saying, we are polluting our air by carbon effluents. We are polluting with the water resources. Earlier it was pure. We used to drink the water wherever it is flowing. It is not so. So we're polluting our soil by using chemical fertilizers. Our cow dung and the other things which were manufactured, generated within our domestic front is lost. No sanctity at all. And we are creating sound pollution, soil erosion, deforestation. So what was not happening or happened in the last several centuries, remember, happened in the last 4 decades. Definitely happened in the last 3 decades. What was not visualized for several centuries, what our generations, what our ancestors have protected for centuries, rather even to the extent of hundreds and thousands of years, we have started polluting it. Since it is the beginning, we should not lead it to the beginning of the end. So we should be extremely careful in engaging and finding out the solutions. So especially last 4 decades, last 3 decades, 30 years after the LPG. So we started this kind of things, exhaustively utilizing these things. So perhaps when you and I were in schools and colleges, even getting a pen from a foreign country was a dream for many of us. Or asking somebody to get a pen from a foreign land. So that was the scenario. We are not manufacturing anything. So we are importing many products, many things, many times. But now things have changed. You name the thing is being manufactured. At what cost we are manufacturing, God only knows. Because we are using it, but we are not understanding the damages that we are causing. Another thing, because of the LPG liberalized norms, our hands are strengthened with financial resources. People have money now. But unfortunately, we don't know how judiciously we can employ our resources, employ our financial resources. So just because money is available, we are trying to buy whether it is required or not. That is also another attitude of consumers. So that has to be checked. So careful assessment of the benefits and the cost of environmental damages. So we have to study that. So otherwise, it's again a tough aspect. So many of may be teaching or rather studied financial management. So those who are teaching financial management, one of the topics is capital budgeting, which you are all familiar. One of the traditional techniques, what we talk about, the payback period we calculate. So what is the cost to benefit ratio that you calculate? So what is the cost that you're incurring? What is the benefit that you are generating? So you calculate, isn't it? So when that is the thing, it has been practiced ever since the generation or the introduction of accounting and finance. Why can't we think about something for our own natural resources, our own country, our own motherland, our own mother earth? So we are not trying to quantify the benefits we are generating, or the benefits what we generated at what cost we are incurring. That is not being quantified. So even a fabric or the cloth or the pant or the shirt which we are using, so it looks very good, no doubt about it. So what is the quantity of water which is available freely being used to manufacture this, and what is the chemical which are used for coloring, and how the natural resources being damaged? Especially, I don't know how many of you are in and around Mysore. I don't know. So in Mysore, many industrial hubs, especially which are located in and around industrial town called Nanjangud, where the free flow of water is found. Kabini River is being flowing ever since and the times of immemorial days. Of late, many industries have taken up, established fabrics, fabrications, and the textile units have started. And the people were using that water for drinking those days, several few decades ago. Now, even our the water cannot be used even for cultivation. It has come to that level. So, because of the chemicals, even our cattle cannot drink that water. It has reached that scenario. So, therefore, the first and the foremost thing, what is the cost we are incurring, and what is the benefit we are deriving, at what cost we derive that pleasure, it has to be studied. So environmental accounting is an important tool for understanding the role played by the natural environment in the economy. So these are all the things we should be familiar. So environmental accounting is an important tool for understanding the role played by the natural environment in the economy. What is the contribution of the nature? So contribute, you may be asking how the nature is contributing. Yes, nature is contributing to derive these benefits or the profits or the financial resources by damaging its own resources, natural resources, environmental resources. So environmental accounts provide data that highlight both the contribution of natural resources to economic well-being and the cost imposed by pollution or resource degradation. So these four lines exactly gives the meaning of the environmental accounting. So it provides the data. Data means quantification of the figures and the numbers. What is the, for example, these days you go to a hotel. So shamelessly, I'm saying shamelessly, we use the tissue papers in bulk quantity. Even those tissue papers are manufactured. Of course, we may be using for cleaning our hands, for which we have adopted different method. So even that is impacting washing your hands, cleaning your hands, drying up your hands also contributes something. They are manufactured by cutting our own wooden resources, natural resources, timber resources. So you just imagine if one tree is chopped off, manufacture these things. In our lifetime, we cannot grow that tree at all. We may plant hundreds of samplings, but it may not be impossible. It's impossible only. It may not, it is impossible to see such a huge tree in our lifetime. So that is what the damage which is caused by us. I us means the entrepreneurs, business community, for the economic well-being of us. Imagine if the hotel is not providing those facilities at all. Don't you think that we cannot go to the hotel? Do you think that we can't go to the hotel or we can't eat something what is required? Definitely, isn't it? So these are all the eye-opening aspects which we are lacking in our own manner. So not just because you're a teacher, an accountant, or accounting teacher, as an individual, you should be well versed with this, not just confined to commerce teachers, commerce lecturers, professors alone. Even for a common man, we should orient this. So there are plenty of things. I'm just throwing some light on these aspects. It may not be possible to exhaust and have a complete discussion on this. I just start this, as I said, this is the beginning of the beginning. You try to develop these aspects at your levels, and try to create some, knowledge for imbibing academic aspects. So many times we miserably.
ಅಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆದಾಗ ಈ ರೂಲ್ ಬಂತು.
So we
ಅವರು ಎರಡು ಕಡೆ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು.
So we miserably we may fail to include all these things in the academic aspects. So the time is not too far to bring them into the syllabus. This is the dire need. We have to incorporate all these things in our own curriculum. So that is what the first and the foremost thing you and I should do it. Of course, in Mysore University, we have initiated this. And in the days to come, perhaps from next academic year, this is going to be part of our own syllabus. So I expect the same thing in other universities as well. You can refer the thing with your board of studies or the chairman of board of studies or somebody like that. The very objective of, I use the word objective only, not objectives, because very simple, thousands of objectives are there. So one of the major things is identifying the environmental opportunities and straighten the additional cost that without value adding. So we are not knowing what is the damage we are causing, and we are employing all those resources. To estimate and calculate the estimated environmental aspects which are related to the enterprises, the expenses that the nature is contributing, which we are not accounting anywhere. So we are familiar with, those days we are ritualistically prime cost, only the cost of direct material, labor, and direct expenses, we use the time, and other expenses, indirect expenses related to various functioning like manufacturing overheads or office administrative overheads and selling and distribution overheads. That's all we are doing it. And even today, perhaps we may be teaching the same thing in our classroom, cost accounting. But we were miserably failing to add all these aspects. So we have created the values for our resources. Value addition is being made. Maybe furniture we are manufacturing. The log of food is cut into pieces. So apart from natural resources, we are using other manufactured components like nuts, bolts, carbon, paints, varnish, etc. But at what cost we are cutting the wood? So not just on the price at which we are buying per SFT or cubic feet of wood. It's impossible to replace that timber or the tree which is generating the timber in our lifetime. And you just imagine if we are manufacturing like that, where do you end up with? Perhaps all of you must have seen by now When our parents were constructing the houses, when grandparents were constructing houses, they were using timber definitely because it was available in abundant quantity in those days. So now everything is fabricated because wood is exhausted, wood is costlier than these aluminum or steel fabrics. So we're using that. So you just imagine to what extent we have reached in damaging our own ecosystem. So that is also one of the objectives to identify environmental opportunity for net profit creation. So we are creating profit. We are creating profit. At what cost we are creating profit? So no doubt we are happy because our profits are more. On the profits are more, the earnings per share is more. The earnings per share is more, dividend per share is more. When the dividends are more, our market value is more. When the market value is more, our value addition is more. Wealth creation is possible. Shareholders' wealth is maximized. One of the principles of the objectives of financial management was maximizing the wealth of the investors, of the shareholders. So profit maximization, wealth maximization at the cost of sales maximization, and sales is maximized at the cost of damaging our own environment. Hope you're following how things have been linked, have to be linked. No, ultimately, profit maximization and wealth maximization only shall not be the goal. So we're also equally responsible for protecting the things. So therefore, every aspect it percolates to the environment. So determining the future cost and the yield arising from the implementation of environmental management information system. So we can have budgets, forecast. So what would be the probable prospective damage which you're causing for our own ecosystem? But also we can forecast. That is also should be one of the objectives to help design a manufacturing process of goods and services which are compatible to environment. So these are all the very, very vital aspects, and they are desirable now. In the days to come, it is becoming essential. So then only it is possible to have a control on the havoc which we are causing for our own environment. So to provide accurate quantitative information on volumes and economic effects to interested parties within and outside the group. So like this, it goes, plenty of objectives, we can list it. So at various levels, we can account it. We can account it at national level, micro level, or macro level, even a unit which is consuming natural resources, non-renewable resources, how it has to be accounted. So one of them is natural resource accounting. So environmental economic accounting. So that has to be taken at the macro level. So micro level, we should be focused on accounting for physical units. So what is the number of units which you are manufacturing? So tracking physical units for economic balance, eco-balance, and environmental benefits. So what is the maximum permissible limits? What is the maximum consumable limits? How many units we can manufacture? So these days, perhaps many in those places, rather you are familiar with carbon credits. So that is the latest accounting practice, especially with related to environmental accounting. We talk about the future markets. So there are places even today around the world where they sell these carbon credits. You can ask me, how can they sell the carbon credit? How can have a market for carbon credits? See, there are 10 units in one industrial area, and each are permitted to produce or generate or to the extent of 10,000 units of carbon monoxide or some carbon dioxide or whatever it is. So that is their maximum limit. They can generate only that much. Beyond that, they are not supposed to produce or use it. So their quantity, the permissible limit is over. So if a manufacturer is exhausting his limit, the other manufacturer who has not used his limits, his credits, whatever there in his account, he can sell that. He can sell that to another manufacturer for a price. This fellow is not consuming it, but he is having the limits. He is having that credits in his account. He can transfer that credit to somebody who wants it. He can buy that at a price and manufacture the units. So that means to say, so for all the 10 units, whatever the permissible limits being employed, being used, and they are not generating something extra effluents or extra carbon, but within the limits, some manufacturer, they are not manufacturing, but they're deriving the profits by not using their credits, by not consuming or generating a lot of carbon, etc. effluent, they're getting money. So that is how the things are happening in the Western countries. Of course, it has not reached India yet. It might come in the Indian market very soon, just like we're trading with the bullion markets, stock markets, in the security market. These all are in the pipeline. Definitely it will reach this Indian continent as well. So accounting for monetary value, that is tracking the monetary value of environmental cost. So as I said, timber, water, pollution. So what we are using and what is the damage we are causing, what are the costs that we consume. All these things will be accounted. That system is not universally established or well versed. So in the days to come, apart from the cost of our monetary cost, monetary benefits, cost per unit, cost per ton, cost per cubic feet, whatever you calculate. Similarly, in the coming academic years, it is not an exaggeration if I say you have to introduce a parallel accounting like this. At what cost we manufacture this? And those cost accountants who are dealing with these environmental aspects definitely will be absorbed all over the world. So that is the job opportunity. On the other hand, we are creating because of damaging the environment. That is the positive aspect, what I can say. But at the cost of something we are consuming, developing. So therefore, I am making an attempt to, make you understand the impact of all these things. So benefits of opting this is given here. You can share. What are the advantages when we go for this kind of thing? It enhances the image of the product and company, which may have the impact on deals and ultimate profitabilities. That means, so when we are cautious about our own environment, we're focusing more on protecting, providing facilities, and revamping the damages that we are caused in the interest of the society and the community at large. In the interest of the community at large, definitely we'll be benefited. This accounting helps us to understand in a better manner the environmental cost, which are facilitating for more accounting and accurate pricing strategies. So these are all the plenty of benefits or advantages that we are consuming. So at present, current scenario I can quote, apart from these slides I can share, you can copy it and print it later. E-waste we are generating, remember, perhaps many may not be aware that the Silicon Valley, of course, we give an example of Silicon Valley of India, we say Bangalore. So much before that, Silicon Valley, during the tenure of one of the prime ministers, of course, I can't name him. So we entered into an MOU to import the e-garbage from the United States in exchange of some food grains. So it has become the dumping yard India became the dumping yard for e-garbage, e-waste. So we have seen that also a few decades ago. So this e-waste is used to cover the items of all types of electrical and electronic equipment. And if you are recycling it, it's fine. And if it is not possible to reusing it, you just imagine what is the damage we are causing to the environment. So similarly, in most of the cases, so our own old television sets, what we are using, how do you discard it? How do you manage with that? Similarly, LCD televisions, old LCD monitors, plasma televisions. So all these contributed for the economic empowerment of the employees as well as the entrepreneurs. But at the same time, these electronic wastage, garbages, has created a devastating situation for the Indian environment. So normally, as per the statistics which is available, you can browse through it. The e-wastage what we are generating, it is around 70% from computers. So e-wastage of computer devices, computer peripherals, computer components. So 70% is the waste we're generating out of the e-wastages. 12% is from telecommunications, mobile and other aspects. 8% from medical equipments to be discarded, and select 7% from electric equipments, component, etc. How do you account it? Because once they are sold, manufacturing cost, fine, I can ascertain. We can arrive at the cost of production, cost of sale, and the profit is added. We derive the profit, we distribute the profit, we reinvested the profit. So we have maximized our wealth, we enhance our share value, net worth, etc. But what will happen to these damages? Who will bear these losses, which is caused to the society at large? So therefore, all these discarded large household applicants, they're also causing damages to the society. So large household components, small household applications, appliances, consumer goods, all electronic goods especially. So they're causing a lot of havocs, especially in Indian market. No doubt, in one hand, we are producing, we're generating profit, but our own generation, next generation, our own children will be facing such problems. So, top 10 countries that produce the most plastic waste, I can give the example. The China, because one of the largest economies in the world, one of the developed economies in the world, they are around 36, 37 or 38 million metric tons that they are generating. Million metric tons non-renewable wastage. You just imagine. Followed by the United States, around 23 million metric tons. And we stand in the third place always in all aspects, even in the third economic largest country, the third largest producer of e-wastage and garbage, plastic wastage, etc. But comparatively, though our position is third in the nation, in the world, our wastage is quantifiably lesser than United States as well as the China. So top 10 countries include the Brazil, Mexico, Japan, Germany, Thailand, India, Italy, and Indonesia. So when all these countries are parting, also contributing to the globe, you just imagine what will happen. So one of the things what I personally feel is reduce, reuse, and recycle at this stage. So that is the only philosophy. If you don't adopt these, adhere to this philosophy of reducing, reusing, and recycling, there won't be any meaning for any economic development. Of course, our life maybe in a span of 30, 40 years, we'll reach the zenith, where our next generation will be facing the problems. So forms of environmental accounting is also mentioned. As you know very well, it is in the form of financial accounting, management accounting, or cost accounting. So environmental management accounting, environmental financial accounting, environmental cost accounting can be clubbed for environmental national accounting. Of course, one is missing there, you can add it, cost accounting. And all these merged together, it will become environmental national accounting. So these are the problems which you have. We can take the printout and discuss later. So now this aspect, let us try to interact for a few minutes. So now this the class is thrown open for any discussion. Let us share the comments from all of you. Hope it is clear to you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
As I said, it's impossible to cover the whole aspect of environmental. There's volumes and volumes we can speak about this life cycle of environmental accounting. So therefore, let us listen to participants as well. Let us have a discussion from your end as well. Yes, you can ask me anything related to this aspect.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So this is Nisha from Aloysius University, Bangalore.
Yeah.
So my question is, you just mentioned that the credits will be sold very soon in the future.
Yeah.
So actually, there is like a CDP rankings are given for the companies, and when it comes to India, where I did a recent study, it says that the Indian companies are not following the rankings. I mean, majority of the Indian companies are in F rank.
Yeah.
Like topmost is A plus and A, and India is still like many of the companies, that too Sensex companies.
Yeah.
The one which is listed, the 30 companies in Sensex, they are having a ranking of F. So don't you think that when they are going to sell the credits, I mean, in the open market, like just you mentioned, it would totally remove this concept. I mean, it will be of no use of this environmental accounting because easily they are selling it for money.
Yeah, that is what you're absolutely right. Still, it has been not materialized in the expected standard or the manner in India because the systems very well, Indian scenario very well. Whatever the mandatory things we insist, how the certificates are given in this country, isn't it? That is the loophole in which we are operating. Unless and until the manufacturers have themselves create an awareness, self-consciousness about not using all these practices, it's impossible. Any rule will not help them. Of course, the loopholes of our system. So they're encashing that. So a day might come very soon, as I said, which is being practiced in the rest of the world. Yes, you are given a permissible limit of this much. You are not using that. You can transfer your credit to other country, other units, other manufacturer. To that extent, by not producing non-productive bonus, what we talk about in other aspects, you are not producing anything. So by selling these credits, at least you are benefited. That is being practiced. But it will come, might take a lot of time, may not be just like the European market or Western markets. So in financial accounts and assets, when we talk about other fixed assets, etc., they may show this also one of the current assets, unsold carbon credits. See what we talk about current assets, bank, cash in hand, bank, cash at bank, stock in trade, or similarly bills receivable, those traditional aspects. Similarly, a new component can be introduced in their current assets, claiming that unsold carbon credits, unutilized carbon, some credits, so they can realize it. So only to that extent it is possible as of now, but we don't know. And moreover, what I'm just mentioning about carbon credits, it may be ecological credits also, forest credits also, water also. So it goes. Somebody should, ignite the mindset of the manufacturers as well as our academicians and the student. Then only it is possible. So it finally results with the global economic output.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Yeah, very good morning.
Sir, don't we have any regulatory mechanism where environmental accounting becomes a compulsion for all the manufacturing concerns?
Yeah, definitely, madam. It is a mandatory aspect. In the days to come, our Ministry of Corporate Affairs definitely is going to mandate this.
Hmm.
They have to disclose these things in their financial statements also. So
Maybe by then the emphasis or the importance would be known to everybody.
yeah. Then only it is possible. It will definitely be implemented and it will reach all of us, all the entrepreneurs, and our students definitely will understand this in a better manner. Mhm.
Thank you, sir.
So, even whatever the skincare, Vaseline or the chocolate or the palm oil, whatever we are using it, that is causing something to our ecology. For the economic empowerment, we are damaging our ecological aspects. So, therefore, our children, our students must be oriented with this. Definitely, it will come. See, as of now, in India, 125 trillion US dollar is being damaged. 125 trillion US dollar means you just can't, our own children and our own students can't quantify that. 125 trillion US dollar. That is the loss we have caused our ecology. So that means to say, you just imagine it has to be taught in the classrooms. So there is no meaning for this bookish and imaginary figures in the balance sheet in the classrooms. So they should understand if I'm drinking 1 liter water, what is the damage that I'm causing like that? So as I said, jeans, one pant a student is wearing at the time of initiation 500 liters. So 3000 liters of water being polluted, 3000 liter for one jeans. Imagine. So what will happen to the crops which are growing? That will die. One pant leads to 3000 liters of water pollution, means very damaging. See, 7.3 trillion worth US dollars. US dollar 7.3 trillion. You know, the biological degradation that we are causing every year in India. I'm using the dollars in trillions because though it is an Indian scenario, no study has been conducted by an Indian. So we are also using these studies conducted by Western people. It's okay. Any other question?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Sir, this is Dattatreya, sir, from GFCC Dharwad.
Yeah, please tell me.
Sir, who is authorized authority to make this environmental accounting?
So it
Then a
is
criteria.
as Dr. Mamata said, it is the need of our corporate affairs, Ministry of Corporate Affairs has to mandate it. It has to be disclosed by these companies and they're published in the annual reports. But at our level, the universities should incorporate that in our graduate studies, graduate programs. So maybe we are waiting, the universities are waiting for the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, but we can initiate at our own stage. The colleges, of course, the universities in the beginning should incorporate this, not just for commerce students alone, to all the students, just like financial awareness and investment awareness things, what we're talking about. We should also incorporate this to all levels of studies. So it is the foremost and the fundamental duty of the universities, academic bodies, if not the universities, to incorporate these things in our curriculum. That is also our moral obligation. Okay, fine. So if possible, we'll continue later as we are having a break now. It's already done 15. Okay then, thank you. Good luck for your studies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.